Space, the final frontier.
Throughout time, we have always asked the question, what if? We find ourselves wondering about the furthest reaches of space and the astonishing innovations that could better or worsen our society.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
This curiosity is expressed through the diverse genre of science fiction. The definition of science fiction is fiction based on imagined future, scientific, or technological advances in major social or environmental changes, frequently portraying space or time travel and life on other planets. This is the definition of science fiction. However, science fiction is a genre that cannot be fully defined and has no limits. It is something that can be shown in many forms with innovative ideas and visions accompanying it. The real beginning of science fiction was Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. This ultimately defined the science fiction genre and helped to encourage and inspire other writers.
It's alive! It's alive! Oh, in the name of God, now I know what it feels like to be God.
After Mary Shelley was Jules Verne. He brought science fiction even further by bringing new ideas to the table, such as inventions before his time and exploring the unexplored in his book, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. The first science fiction film was A Trip to the Moon in 1902. It brought science fiction to a whole new medium, film, and from then on, science fiction took to the screens. In the 1890s through the 1920s, crazy inventions and science experiments such as rockets and space travel were the most popular theme. From the 1920s to the late 1950s, science fiction began to be published in inexpensive magazines and were therefore available to everyone and became popular with the younger generations. Around this time, robots and ecotastrophes, which are large ecological disasters, became the most popular theme. During the 40s and all the way through the 60s, B-list movies, specifically creature features such as Godzilla and the 50-Foot Woman, were in high demand. After this came the golden age of science fiction in the 70s and 80s, bringing films and television shows such as Star Wars, Star Trek, and E.T.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
These aren't the droids we're looking for.
And in the late 80s through the early 2000s, a genre called heroic fantasy began to gain popularity, outshining sci-fi. But science fiction prevailed and many major blockbusters were produced, such as Jurassic Park and Back to the Future. Now, sci-fi is ever popular, old and new, with films like The Martian and TV shows like Stranger Things topping the charts and remakes of old classics happening every year.
It actually shapes what we expect our future to look like, and so artists and designers and thinkers almost seem to follow behind science fiction rather than science fiction following behind real science.
Science fiction is a manifestation of our greatest fears and dreams, from distant dystopian futures to shining utopias. Although first scorned by most, science fiction has grown to advance many fields, notably technology. Simon Lake invented the modern submarine inspired by Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Igor Sikorsky invented the modern helicopter after Jules Verne's Clipper of the Clouds. The World Set Free by H.G. Wells inspired physicist Louis Szilard to paint the first nuclear bomb and to found the Manhattan Project, which infamously dropped bombs in Japan in 1945. In the 1930s, with the U.S. deep into the Great Depression, many science fiction films and literature dealt with apocalyptic destruction, reflecting the anxieties of a world that was soon to fall into another world war. Likewise, in the present day, zombie apocalypses are overwhelmingly the most popular trope in science fiction, representing the breaking down and rebuilding of society.
This all raises the question of why science fiction is in such high demand, and why it is so important.
Fiction means a lot of things to me, but the most important thing science fiction has ever meant to me is literally the exploration of new worlds, and really kind of an escape from our own, you know, in like the both literal and fictional sense. And it's so fun to see something so creative and so infinitely innovative in what everyone can do with the genre, while still retaining like these beautiful core concepts of discovery and science and imagination.
Well, as seen in the past, science fiction has heavily influenced us, with both scientific and even social advancement. One of the most interesting things about the genre is that it can and has been used as a testing ground for the future, to see what choices lead to salvation, or in turn, an apocalyptic world. Science fiction is also important because what it says about us as humans and our intense desire to understand, create, and survive as a species.
So from here into the future, where will we take science fiction, and where will science fiction take us?